All right. Good evening, everybody, and thank you for joining us this evening. Just a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. We are recording this evening, so if you want some information afterwards, and of course, if you want the PowerPoint afterwards, please get in touch with me and we can make that available to folks. Thank you all for joining us for tonight's presentation about assistive technology, primarily for the home. And this presentation is focused primarily for deaf and hard of hearing students, their parents, and educators. These technologies are available to folks here in Virginia, and we want to make sure that the students, the parents, their educators know how to access some of these devices and become a little bit more familiar with them. I'm going to be keeping I'm going to be keeping myself and the interpreter spotlighted. So we will always be visible on the screen. If you would like to utilize the captioning for tonight's presentation, you can click on the CC button at the bottom of your screen, or you can use the stream text link that is in the chat box. So you have a choice for that. This evening, we're going to be taking questions by chat box. So if any questions come up during the presentation, please go ahead and type them there. And then once we're done, we'll go back to the chat box and go through the questions to make sure that we get everything answered. All right. We've had a few minor glitches already this evening, so please bear with us. All right, so let me bring up my presentation. There we go. All right. Good evening. My name is Debbie Jones, and I am the technology manager here at the Northern Virginia Resource Center for Deaf and Hard of Hearing Persons. A little bit about NVRC first. Our mission is to empower deaf and hard of hearing individuals and their families through education, advocacy, and community involvement. So going out into the community and doing presentations, trainings, educational events. A lot of what we do is information and referral. We work with folks in the community to provide outreach opportunities. We provide free hearing screenings in the community. And then, of course, education and advocacy for folks who are deaf, hard of hearing, late deafened, and deafblind in the Northern Virginia area. You can check out our website at nvrc.org to see more about what we do. Our office is based here in Fairfax, Virginia, but we serve a fairly wide territory. In addition to the Fairfax area, we also cover Alexandria, Arlington, Culpeper, Fauquier County, Loudoun County, Prince William, and Rappahannock. We contract with Fairfax County, Arlington County, Loudoun County, and the Virginia Department for Deaf and Hard of Hearing to provide outreach and educational services in those particular counties and areas. So let's talk a little bit about technologies that are available for deaf and hard of hearing folks in our area. These are technologies that folks can take advantage of to make their day-to-day living a little bit easier and stay connected with friends and family. There we go. One of the programs that I wanted to let folks know about is the Technology Assistance Program. This program is provided by the Virginia Department for Deaf and Hard of Hearing and provides specialized telecommunications equipment to Virginia residents who need specialized equipment, including TTYs and captioned phones, to stay connected. So you must be a Virginia resident to qualify for the program, have a hearing loss, so deaf, hard of hearing, late deafened, deafblind, or a speech disability. There's also some income requirements involved, and you can work with the TAP specialist to learn more about that, what those requirements are. Virginia Department for Deaf and Hard of Hearing contracts with organizations and agencies around the Commonwealth to make sure this program is available. And so there are outreach specialists in different areas that can assist you in accessing this program. It includes communication and alerting devices. So and then there is an application process. If you meet the eligibility guidelines, you get to borrow the equipment for up to 30 days. If you decide that the equipment works for you during that time, at the end of 30 days, it becomes yours. If it doesn't work for you, you get in touch with the TAP specialist and try something else. Also, if you don't qualify for free equipment through the TAP program, you may qualify for low cost. So it's still worth checking out. If you decide you don't want to go that route, you just want to find something on the market, we can certainly assist you in getting a list of those resources. So let's talk about some of the communications devices that are available. Amplified telephones, of course, being the first one. Being able to stay connected with friends and family is really important, and having a good amplified telephone when you're dealing with hearing loss is really important. These are phones that are made for folks who are hard of hearing. They are hearing aid compatible, so they're not going to give feedback and buzzing. They have amplification, so you can adjust the loudness, and they also have tone control. Tone control helps boost those high or low sounds that you may hear better. And so you can adjust the tone to help clarify the sound. These phones also have loud ringers that you can adjust the pitch. We're also able to find more cordless amplified phones available on the market as well. For a very long time, it was hard to get a good cordless amplified phone because, of course, anytime you're transmitting the sound from the base to the handset, you have an opportunity for interference. But the technology has improved so much now that there are many more options for this. Sometimes, no matter how much you adjust the tone or boost the volume, you just can't understand on the phone. And maybe you need a backup, so a text printout of what the other person is saying to you. That's where captioned telephones come in. These phones have a screen built into the phone that give you a printout of what the other person is saying. So if you didn't quite catch what the word was or you weren't sure, you can look down at the screen and it will be printed out. Again, these phones have adjustable amplification. They have the tone control. And you can also adjust the size of the text. So if you're also working with someone who has vision issues, you can adjust the size, the color of the text, and the color of the background to make it much more readable. TTYs are also part of the TAP program. Many folks look at these machines and go, oh my goodness, that's so old-fashioned. Nobody uses those anymore. But actually, there are still some folks that use them. And in particular, folks who have speech difficulties. The TTY allows them to type instead of having to use their voice. So someone can use a TTY and call another TTY directly, or they can use the relay service to make their calls, to have their calls facilitated by a relay operator. The Virginia Relay Service is one of the many telecommunications relay services throughout the country. And these services were set up to facilitate calls between folks who use regular telephones and folks who need specialized telephone equipment. So whether they're using a captioned phone or a text telephone or other kind of telephone device to make their calls, the relay service is there to make sure that they can connect correctly. This is a free service. Everybody in the Commonwealth of Virginia pays a little bit on their monthly phone bill. So if you look through all your charges on the phone bill, there's one called TRS, Telecommunications Relay Service. So all of us pay a little bit, so folks who need the relay don't have to pay every time they make a call. The relay is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And you can reach your local relay anywhere in the country by dialing 711. Another device that is included in the TAP is a personal amplifier. Now, a lot of students are probably used to using an FM system in the school, but they may not always have that available at home. And FM systems can be quite a cost for the families. So seeing if a personal amplifier can help with one-on-one communication is worth trying out. These devices can be used with a headset, with earbuds, or with a neck loop to amplify and bring the voice closer or directly into the hearing aids. Through the TAP program, you can choose two devices, one communications device and one signaling device, which we'll talk about in a minute. So in terms of if you're looking at a telephone or a personal amplifier, you would have to choose between those two. So one communications device and then one signaling device. So let's talk now about the alerting devices that are available. There are devices that will amplify the ring of your existing telephone ringer or doorbell. You can adjust the volume of these devices and often adjust the pitch. Or the doorbell, for example, can go through a series of pitches, like the Westminster chime that many folks have heard from church bells and that sort of thing. So these are something to consider for knowing when the phone is ringing, when the doorbell is ringing, so that you know what's going on in your environment. Then there are signaling systems. These are systems that can do a couple of different things with one device. This one in particular can alert for a wireless doorbell. the telephone. You can later on add other signaling monitors like a baby cry monitor or a motion detector. This also has a bed shaker unit so that it will flash the lights, have a very loud alarm, and then also shake the bed. Now for parents, you have to consider what's appropriate for the age of your child. You might, when they're really young, you might not want them to be answering the front door. So maybe at first you set up the doorbell outside of their bedroom door so that you can let them know when you're coming into their room. And then later on, when they're older, you could move the doorbell down to the front door or get a second doorbell, either way. So those are the devices that are available through the state program, through the Virginia Department for Deaf and Hard of Hearing Technology Assistance Program. And again, that focuses on the communications device, so telephone or one-on-one communication, and then the signaling devices to let you know what's going on in your environment. Okay, certainly that is not the limit of what is available for folks who are deaf or hard of hearing. There are a lot of other devices out there on the market, and I'd like to give you just an idea of some of the different kinds of things that are out there and how you can access them. Okay. So devices for listening to the TV. These can be infrared. These could be a wireless speaker system. Many of these are Bluetooth nowadays, where you can connect them to your TV through a Bluetooth transmitter. There are several different styles as well. There's the stethoscope style, which will hang under the chin, the headphone style that goes over the head. There are even speakers that you could put on the back of a chair. There are lots of different alarm clocks on the market as well. I showed you the signaling system, the Serene CA360 earlier. The Sonic Boom is also another popular one, the Sonic Alert alarm clocks. Again, they do flashing lights, loud alarms that you can change the volume and the pitch, and also the bed shakers. There are also portable systems. So portable travel bed shakers. There are even Bluetooth bed shakers where you can download the app to your smartphone and set the alarm on your phone and put the bed shaker inside your pillowcase. So you have that, you know, this flexibility, you have options for the different kinds of signalers and alerting systems that are available. And again, consider the age of your child and what's appropriate. You know, starting to learn how to get themselves up in the morning is pretty important as they grow up and go through school. So figuring out what's going to work for you and your child is important, and we can certainly assist with that, whether that's making an appointment to come here to our center to look at devices, or setting up something where I could come out to the school or out to the family's home to talk with folks about that. Another really important signaler to consider for your home is a visual smoke detector. These smoke detectors, along with having the very loud siren, will also often have a very bright strobe light. And it's really important that you and your family check your existing smoke detectors and make sure they will wake you up. And make sure they will wake you up without your hearing aids or without your cochlear implant. And if not, look into getting one of these kind of visual smoke detectors. Some local fire departments might have these in their distribution program. We know of at least 2 counties that provide visual smoke detectors to deaf and hard of hearing residents. If not, there are ways to purchase these through vendors that specialize in this kind of equipment. Excuse me. For folks who rent their homes, it's important to know that it is under the Code of Virginia, which is state law. It is the landlord's responsibility to provide visual smoke detectors upon request. So if you are deaf or hard of hearing, or someone in your family is, and you rent your home, you realize you need to have a visual smoke detector, you write a letter to your landlord stating that because of having someone who's deaf or hard of hearing, you need a visual smoke detector for safety. It is then the landlord's responsibility to install those smoke detectors, okay? So if you own your home, you are responsible for installing them. If you rent your home or apartment, it is the landlord's responsibility. Okay. So I'm sure some folks looked at those telephones and other technologies and went, wow, that seems really old-fashioned. Yes, as many of us know, a lot of folks are depending on their mobile phones for everything. And like many things, there's an app for that. When you're looking for a new mobile phone, make sure that you're looking for hearing aid compatible mobile phones. These phones are less likely to cause feedback with your hearing aid or cochlear implant. There's a great website that was set up by CTIA. And of course, I'm going to blank on what that is short for. But anyway, it's called accesswireless.org. That website lets you look for phones that are compatible for your own situation, whether you're deaf or hard of hearing, if you're blind or low vision, if you have mobility issues or speech difficulties, whatever challenges you are dealing with, they have kind of broken it down to what phones might meet your needs. So check out that website when you're looking for a new smartphone. Going forward, more and more hearing aids are actually being controlled by an app that you download to your smartphone. We're seeing more and more hearing aid brands offer this option. So be aware as your student is getting older that they may be shifting to hearing aids that have these kinds of options. Certainly as students, their hearing aids are set specifically for classroom situations. But knowing what may be ahead of them is important as well. So these are apps that allow you to control the volume of the hearing aids or control a directional microphone. We saw the captioned telephones earlier. There are apps that you can download to your smartphone to provide captioned calls. You just have to set up a free account with these apps and download the app and get it set up, and you have captioned calls on your mobile phone. Again, you can still hear the person, use your voice to speak back to them, but you have the printed text as a backup. For students who use sign language, of course, there are mobile apps for those as well, whether it's for a smartphone or a tablet. These apps can help them stay connected. Again, you just have to download the app and set up a free account to use the apps to make calls and stay connected with friends and family. Sometimes when you're out and about, you also need some text backup for one-on-one communications. Voice to text apps can come in handy in some of these situations. Now, they're not perfect. And of course, they should not be used as a substitute for captioning. But for short one-on-one communications where you're struggling, it's worth a try. These are some of the apps that we have found and that folks in the community have told us they've had some good experiences with. Google Live Transcribe is one that's only for Android phones right now. Big Note works on both iPhone and Android. And both of these apps are free. Another couple of helpful apps that again work on both iPhone and Android are Otter and Ava. Both of these have a limited number of free minutes, and then above a certain amount, you pay for the service. But there are some benefits to both of these. After you've finished your conversation with Otter, it will actually email you the text printout of the conversation. With Ava, if everyone in the conversation logs in through the app, it will actually label who said what, which can be very helpful. And those apps, of course, are available through Google Play or I've just blanked on it. I'm sorry, the Apple Store. When you're looking for other technologies, NVRC does have a fact sheet that we put together of various vendors that sell telephones and signaling devices, listening devices. And we have that available on our website that you can download, or you can contact us and we can email you a copy of that. Again, these are companies that the community has told us they've had good experiences with. As I mentioned earlier, NVRC has a demonstration room. We have different telephones and signalers, listening devices that you can come in and take a look at. You can make an appointment to come and meet with me here at the center, and we can sit down and talk about some of the challenges that you're having, the kinds of devices that you're interested in, and then you can also try things out to see what might meet your needs. If you find something you like, we can either give you that vendors list so that you can make a purchase, or see if it's available through the state program. and help you apply that way. And as I mentioned, we are also available to go out into the community. So if your school program has deaf and hard of hearing students that you'd like me to come out and give this presentation or just talk to about technology in general, we'd love to do that. If you know of any students who are in need of any of these devices, please get in touch with me. I would love to work with the family and try to get them the equipment that they need to stay connected. My email is djones@nvrc.org. That is generally the best way to reach me, since often we are out and about. All right, so let me stop the sharing here real quick. All right. So that does it for my presentation. Does anybody have any questions? You are welcome to turn on your camera and open your mic. Make sure I can see everybody here. Okay. I know it's a quiet evening and it's a Monday evening as well. So I expect that folks are probably a little tired after a long day, and that's cool. Like I said, you're free to reach out to me. I'm going to put my email in the chat box here. So that if you do have questions later on, if you know of anybody that could benefit from any of these devices, please get in touch and we'll work with you to make sure that folks get connected. Okay. All right. If you don't feel comfortable turning on your camera and asking, feel free to type it in the chat. Hopefully this information was helpful for folks. And like I said, send me an email if you'd like to get a copy of the PowerPoint or a copy of the contact information for any of the vendors or the TAP program. Okay. All right. Well, thank you everybody for coming out this evening. We appreciate your time. We hope this was beneficial, and we look forward to being in touch with you all again. We hope you have a great holiday season. Please stay safe, and hopefully we will see you in the new year. Okay, have a great evening, everybody. Good night.